Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Fanatics. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku had the power of Quicksilver? Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is una nueva meta by EstebanDiegoCaselin. Pav. Izuku. It has been 6 months since the USJ attack, and since then I have not stopped having these dreams, where I have seen a man who makes me feel many emotions. Fear, despair, intimidation just by his presence, but I have also felt that I have met him, as if it were a stronger bond, even stronger than the OFA. But it doesn't matter, now I must train this power more to be a worthy successor of OFA. Japan. Near the UA, I woke up and arrived before Master Aizawa's classes started. Some time later, Aizawa. Classes are over, leave for your practice with all might. After Aizawa's instructions, we went to the Gamma gym to change into our sports uniforms, and that's where it all began. Dressing rooms. Denki. Another practice, I hope we don't get stuck with anyone difficult. Tokiyami. Midoriya, Todoroki, and Bakugo are still beyond our reach. Shiro. Todoroki and Bakugo, I believe you, but Midoriya. Tokiyami. What? He's someone too strong from what we've observed. Denki. His quirk is really dangerous, so he only gets hurt when he uses it. Tokiyami. And you say that, you who were defeated because you reached your limit using your quirk. Kurishima. I must agree with that. Denki. But it's different, everyone in the class knows he won't get very far. I couldn't take it anymore and I left. Is that really your idea of me? Do you think I'm that weak? Observation room. All Might. Alright Shonen, today you will have practice fights. The opponents will be in a designated practice area. First up will be Midoriya and Bakugo. City A. We positioned ourselves as instructed. Kacchan got into a fighting stance, I know he'll try with everything he's got. Bakugo. Die, you damn useless bastard. He yelled as he propelled himself forward with his explosions. It was easy to dodge, and I landed a punch on his face. It wasn't that strong, but it gave me time to charge a Detroit smash and send him crashing to the ground. Bakugo. Damn quirks, just die already. Prepares his explosion. This is bad, my left arm is broken and I can barely stand up. Bakugo launches 3 explosions, which Izuku simply dodges. Observation room. Everyone in the classroom was afraid for the fate of the green-haired boy. Kirishima. I think Bakugo is exaggerating, don't you think? He asked, worried about his partner. Lita. Teacher, you must stop them. Said the class president. All Might. Damn it, I'm running out of time. Bakugo. Stop right now. City A. Bakugo. I don't give a shit. I'll kill that shitty nerd. He continued attacking mercilessly. Izuku is already tired of dodging so many explosions. Pav. Izuku. I can't move anymore. The next one will hit me hard, I need to move. Bakugo was preparing the explosion. If only I weren't so weak. The explosion was already on its way towards him. If only I had the power. What happened next was a huge explosion that created a large cloud of smoke. Bakugo. Waiting a bit for the smoke, if that explosion hit you, damn it. Suddenly he feels several blows to his body. After receiving all those impacts, he didn't have time to scream because he fainted from the pain. Observation room. Now they were in shock because after the smoke from the explosion they saw Bakugo unconscious and about 2 or 5 meters behind him a silhouette was peeking out. After the smoke cleared, everyone in disbelief saw Izuku behind an unconscious Bakugo. They all immediately went to see him. Izuku's Pav. But, how was that possible? Flashback. The impact was a few meters away from Izuku until he strangely expelled a wave that affected his reality. And then everything except him was a shade of gray. Then he could see how the explosion remained suspended in that space. What is this? How could I even do that? Never mind, now I need to get out of the way, but I need the explosion to hit something because it could launch another one at me and I don't know if I can do this again. I grab a stone from the soul, throw it at the explosion, and move out of the way. Everything returned to normal for Izuku, and the explosion hit the stone, creating a smokescreen. So I can do this. Is this some kind of OFA variant? No, Izuku. Now focus on Kacchan, he's tired and distracted, maybe I can use it again. Bakugo. Waiting for the smoke to clear, hehehe, so if it gave you a bad. Izuku. Now, Quicksilver. That wave returns and everything around Izuku turns gray. Izuku. As he approaches a frozen Bakugo, let's see what my limit is. Just a second. He struck him 3 times in the chest with his right hand. Izuku. 2 seconds. He throws jabs in the most boxer-like style with his right hand. Izuku. 3 seconds. He hooks his ribs. Izuku. I think I broke 3 of his ribs. 4 seconds. Move forward, leaving Bakugo behind. Apparently, things like gravity, weight, force, and speed don't apply when I activate Quicksilver. This could benefit me, but I can't use it often. It would be suspicious, so I won't tell All Might, just as a precaution. Izuku. 5 meters away from Bakugo, 5 seconds. Feels a tremendous pain in his head. Maybe this is my limit for now. End of flashback. The entire class, along with All Might, went to see what had happened. All Might. Young Midoriya. Are you alright? He said, approaching his student and successor. He didn't have time to respond before he hit the ground. Young Midoriya. Picks him up in his arms. Class will be taking a break, I'll take you to the infirmary. She said as she went to get Bakugo and carried him. Lita. Yes, All Might Sensei. He said, recovering from the shock. So Class 1A waited for their teacher. Some time later. Nursing. How are the young recovery girls doing? R.G. Hits him with his cane. Foolish Toshinori, wasn't it enough that your successor came here 3 times? Now you want to bring someone else. Slightly angry and pointing his cane at him. Sorry RG, sighing the whisper. R.G. Leaving that aside, young Bakugo will wake up in 10 or 15 minutes at most, but young Midoriya is the one we're worried about. What's wrong with young Midoriya? Not wanting to think anything so bad about his pupil. R.G. Every time someone breaks their bones, they wear down to the point that they are useless, but with Midoriya instead of wearing down, on the contrary, they evolve. What does that mean? R.G. I ran tests on him, and they all indicate that his bones, muscles, and organs are evolving to limits that only someone with a regeneration quirk can achieve. He said to All Might while reading the results. So Midoriya's body is healing and improving on its own. R.G. In short, yes, while looking at the aforementioned person. Izuku. After discovering Quicksilver, I fainted. Now I find myself in my subconscious. Everything is dark and silent except. Because at 2 things to my right I could see a large flame, the OFA flame. And on my left side it was blocked by chains, but you can see some broken ones on the ground in that direction. I felt drawn to the left side, until I felt someone stop me. I turned to look at a dark-haired woman. She was wearing a blue suit with a dark blue overlay, a white cape, yellow gloves, and white boots. Woman. No, man, that's not the right direction. Izuku. Excuse me, but who is this? Woman. What is Tashi's blockhead? Didn't he tell you the right thing about OFA? Sigh, I guess I'll have to do his job properly. Nana. Let's start again. My name is Nana. Nana Shimura, 7th holder and master of Toshinori Yagi or All Might. Izuku. Maestra. N shock. Nana. Yep, and from what your teacher does to me too, making a face, from what I can see, Toshi didn't train you well, she said while observing the stunned boy. Izuku. Excuse me, but what do you mean I'm not training properly? Nana. You see, since the 6th holder, OFA has been used as a melee attack quirk. We can't always increase the power of our quirks, so since my master, we've trained to control it better. Nana. But don't take it as if you're not worthy of OFA. Seeing that Izuku got a little depressed, I just didn't train you well. Izuku. So, Master Nana, how will I improve in OFA? Nana. I'll take care of that. Confident in herself. Izuku. Thank you so much. Nana. Now try using OFA at 0.5% all over your body. Izuku proceeded to follow the instructions of the 7th holder, and soon green rays emerged from his body. This feeling I have is indistinguishable. I know I've used OFA before, but this is another level. Nana. Not bad, kid. From what I can see, your body is handling it well. Observing the green-haired boy's progress, now pay attention, Izuku. Changing her cheerful expression to a serious one, making Izuku look at her. Nana, I will not only teach you how to use OFA properly, but also how to create it. Pav. Look, Nana. OFA picks up from the beginning of the era where quirks emerged, but this encompasses the story of two brothers. The older one was born with the power to steal quirks, he could give them away or keep them. The younger one had no quirk. It's unknown whether it was out of affection or whim that he was given a quirk, a physical enhancement quirk. The two brothers faced each other in a relentless battle where the older one won, but before dying, the younger one did have a quirk, which was to transmit the energy stored in his body to another. This is how two events began. The first was the birth of villain number 1, the symbol of fear all for one. And the second one began the long and hereditary legacy of one for all. Two opposite sides, but at the same time, two sides of the same coin. Japan. UA. Nursing. Izuku is seen waking up on his stretcher. Izuku. Wow, that was strange, remembering his conversation with Nana. Nana. And there's still more to come, child. Izuku. What? Where am I? Nana. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, kid. Another thing about OFA is that now I'll be like your Jiminy Cricket, you know, advising you and helping you. She says calmly, and tomorrow we'll start your training to improve your OFA control. Izuku. Oh okay, Jay, just don't scare me like that again, okay. Nana. You take the fun out of life. Suddenly the door opens and RG walks in. Izuku. Hello Rek. He is interrupted by a whack with a baton from the old lady. RC. Kid, it's fine that you're Toshinori's successor, but why are you just as easy to hurt? He scolded the green-haired boy. Izuku. Rubbing his bump. Oh okay, can I go now? RG. About that, I only ask that you don't come back soon, he said, looking at the young man. Izuku. Leaving, I'll try. UA hallways. Nana. Hey kid, they're following you. Reply. After classes ended, I followed Midoriya until he disappeared from sight in the blink of an eye, and I felt something pointing at my neck. Izuku. What a surprise, did you lose something, Yaoyorozu-san? What the heck, just a second ago he was right in front of me. And now he has me on his side. I need to calm down and buy some time. Momo. Wow, so my suspicions were right. Of all my classmates, I never expected anyone to have something like me, much less you, Midoriya Izuku. She said while observing his back. Izuku. Explain yourself, how can someone like you? He said while putting his hand on his neck. But Izuku, purely by instinct, released his grip and dodged a thrust to his back. Just to observe a kind of shiny armor with a swordsman's sword around the girl. Momo. You see, my family is one of the oldest in Japan, so every member of my family was born with a guardian spirit. I named mine Silver Chariot, but something tells me your lineage is older and more dangerous than mine. She said as the spirit assumed an attack stance, so I'll extract that information from you one way or another. She said seriously. Izuku. Then let's do it. The green-haired boy said seriously. My father once said that my silver chariot is the fastest in my family. Maybe you took me by surprise, Midoriya, but not this time. Midoriya was heading straight for SC when suddenly he disappeared. Without wasting any time, SC delivered a circular thrust in a second, only to see blood dripping from Izuku's right arm. Izuku. I see, you have some clue about me, Quicksilver, but you're not the only one. So you can't stand up to me and you need something as obsolete as that old junk, she said mockingly, although of course that was expected of a Yaoyorozu. Momo. What did you say? She said angrily and sent her SC to attack. Silver Chariot was about to attack Izuku only to see him disappear again. This time, Momo was suffocating because Silver Chariot was being strangled by Izuku himself. Izuku. I see, so what happens to him happens to you, he said, observing the black-haired girl's reaction. Well, I've seen enough. He said, releasing the armor and approaching Momo. Your spirit was fast, but I imagine not very strong, but it compensated for that with its reach, didn't it, Yaoyorozu-san? He said as he extended his hand to help her up. Momo. Why are you helping me? She said, catching her breath and getting up with the help of the green-haired boy. Izuku. You see, I don't know what this ability is, and maybe you can help me, so partners. He said, extending his hand. Momo. If you accept, I'll need to know a few things about you, okay? Izuku. Okay. Momo. Fine, she said while shaking his hand. The sports festival is approaching. The young green-haired boy has a teacher and an ally. What will happen? Japan. The young green-haired man is seen on a beach, and it's not just any beach, but the one where he trained for 6 months to obtain one for all. Izuku. Can you repeat why you woke me up and sent me here so early? He said, half awake. Nana. It's to start your training to handle the OFA. Izuku. And why here? I've already done everything I could. Nana. I said energy management, not carrying loads like a mule. She said mockingly. Izuku. Well, so, how do we start? A little annoyed by the comment. Nana. Try OFA at 2% throughout your body, while doing 100 squats, 100 push-ups, and running 5 kilometers with a stone on your back. Izuku. Well, he said, proceeding to carry out the order. Time skip. Insert the Rocky song an image that does it for 1 month, because writing it is too difficult. After a month, Izuku is seen ending his routine for the moment, while a black-haired girl is seen approaching him. Izuku. You should break your habit of walking backwards, Momo-san. He spoke while deactivating OFA. Momo. With your back to me or facing you, I run a greater risk of dying than you, she says seriously. Izuku. Not unless you want to kill me. Did you get what you were looking for? Momo. About that, is that all the information you can give me? She said, approaching. Izuku. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid the knowledge I have of my father is exactly what I gave you, no more, no less. Momo. Hisashi Midoriya, I'm afraid to tell you this, while taking out her phone. But unless he's in a nursing home with over 100 people, he can't be your father, showing the documents on the phone. Izuku read the documents and the date, but realized something when he saw the photo. It was his father, white hair, blue eyes, about 1.80 centimeters tall and almost identical to him. This left the young man astonished. How was this possible? He knew that children inherited something from their parents, so they wouldn't necessarily have the same appearance, but this. Nana. Hey kid, I'm afraid to tell you it's true, he was one of my teachers at UA, said the 7th. Momo. Now tell me something. She said while taking her cell phone, do you still want to know about my spirit? Izuku. Yes, please. He said, recovering. Note. It's a stand, but for now we'll call it that. Pav. Momo. It is said that 4,000 years ago, there was a war between hell and earth. Heaven did not get involved to avoid the massacre caused by one of the 4 kings of hell, Mundus. Humanity was going to lose, but in all that chaos and despair, the unimaginable, filled with hope, appeared, a powerful demon general, the Dark Knight, Sparta. I appreciate humans, that almost made us equals against hell. Sparta wasn't the only one who joined the cause. An archangel from heaven, the star of virtue, Eve, came down to help us. After a long battle, we won and sealed the demons, but Sparta, being a demon, and Eva, after descending from heaven, had their powers sealed in their weapons, turning them into mortals. I can imagine, what does this have to do with my family? Men who are wounded by sacred weapons, they can manipulate their souls. An ancestor of mine was wounded by one, giving him and his lineage this ability. To acquire this ability, 2 things are required. 1, to have a great will, and 2, to have a great lineage. Momo. That is my gift and my family's curse. After the dark-haired woman told her story, they remained silent. Izuku. So, according to you, I have something to do with a sacred weapon? He asked because of what had been said before. Momo. Indeed, but it seems you woke him up that day and you handle him too well. She said, remembering their fight in the hallways. Izuku. I won't deny that. You'd like to test my level, wouldn't you? Momo. From the first day I saw all our classmates, I not only analyzed them, I also recorded the strongest ones, but you, in All Might's tests and in the attack, made me change my opinion about you. I, Momo Yaoru, challenge you to a duel. Izuku Midoriya, the most dangerous of our group, she said while manifesting Silver Chariot. Izuku just got into a fighting stance. Pav. Momo, I know what you're capable of, now I'm not going to compete. And in less than a second Silver Chariot had already gone to attack the green-haired boy, who simply stayed in his place when he moved in a blue blur only to appear in front of Momo. Logically, she would create a shield to defend herself from the blow, but she was sent back. What? How is that possible if I didn't see when he activated his power? No, it wasn't his power, was it just his strength? He said this while looking at the dented shield with Izuku's fist mark. Izuku, do you still want to continue? He said a few steps away from her. Momo, what are you waiting for? Why don't you finish me off? She said, looking at the ground. Izuku, why? Because it would be a waste. As he approached the dark-haired girl, Momo Yaoyorozu, you are a strong, intelligent, and proud warrior, so listen to what I'm about to say. He knelt in front of her. Do you want to be my friend, confidant, and ally? He said with a small smile that reflected peace and tranquility. Momo, only on the condition that I call you Izuku, she said with a smile. Izuku. Okay, time skip. Izuku Iba entering his house. Izuku. I'm back. Inko. Where were you, young man? She said from her armchair with the most dangerous killer instinct that only a mother can emanate. Izuku. I was training. He said, fearful of his fate. Nana. Wow, you're developing abilities beyond anything we've seen before. You defeated a girl with a powerful quirk and a stand user, only to be intimidated by your mother. Izuku. Ahura no Nana sensei. Inko. Izuku, you've been a wonderful son, the kind a mother like me could have, but I think it's time to give it to you, she said while taking something out of the briefcase next to her. From the briefcase, the green-haired woman took out a samurai sword with its sheath on. Inko. This is the last gift your father left you before he passed away, she said as she stood up. He said to give it to you when you were ready, she said now standing in front of him. Son, this is Yamato, the sword your father left you, he said nostalgically. Izuku. Mama yo. Inko. I only ask one thing of you, please don't let anything bad happen to you. She said with a sad smile. Izuku. I promise, he said while hugging his mom. And so they remained embraced for the next few minutes. Izuku was walking through the streets talking to his sensei in his mind. Izuku. So, how did you meet my father? Nana sensei. Nana. Oh, well, it all started in my first years at UA as a student. I had the full attention of my class. Some saw me as an equal and others wondered how someone with my quirk got into UA. Unlike my teachers, your father was like my guide, a pillar where I could lean on to be able to push myself to go further. Izuku. So my father was like you. Nana. No, I only saw him as a father, I didn't see him that way manner. Izuku. Okay. He continued on his way when someone bumped into him, a small albino girl with red eyes, wearing only a gown and bandages on her arms and legs, who came out of an alley to his left. Izuku. Are you all right, little one? He said, looking at the girl. Thank you for finding my daughter, said a man wearing a crow mask, emerging from the alley. Izuku. And how does it belong to you? He said seriously. Eri, come here now, he said, not wanting to pay attention to the boy. The girl known as Eri just clung tightly to the green-haired boy. Eri, please, don't let him take me, the girl said with clear fear. Izuku didn't need to hear any more. He became active Quicksilver and with Eri hugging her, she proceeded to get up. Izuku. A second has passed. And he struck the subject at great speed and felt his ribs break. Izuku. It's been 2 seconds. And by activating the OFA at 5%, he propelled himself with the girl towards a building. Izuku. It's been 3 seconds. And then he pushed off down a few streets. Izuku. Time will return to normal. After saying this, the subject left towards the alley from which he came. And the green-haired man proceeded to carry the girl to the police station in his arms. Izuku. Don't worry, everything will be all right, he said calmly. No one will hurt you again. Time skip. Police station. Police officer. And that's all, he said, taking notes on the green-haired man's report. Izuku. Yes, officer. He said with the girl by his side. Police. Okay, kid, this is a lot to ask, but do you think you can take care of her while we investigate this case further? Izuku. This surprised him at first. Yes, I don't have any problem. Police. Okay, just write down your address. After providing the necessary information, he went with Eri to her house, but in a patrol car. Izuku. Don't worry, no one will hurt you while I'm with you, he said, calming the girl. Your name was Eri, right? Eri. Yes, excuse me sir, but what's your name? The child said. Izuku. Izuku Midoriya, he said, giving her a smile. So Eri, would you like a sweet? He said, taking out a lollipop. Eri. Yes, please. She asked politely. Midoriya residence, and if they own their own home. Inko. Izuku. Who is the girl? She said curiously, looking at the white-haired girl. Izuku. Well, it's a long story. And so Izuku proceeded to tell her what had happened, and like any mother, and probably more so Mexican ones, she responded in two ways. The first one you could solve by saying, I'm looking for a bastard to beat the shit out of him, and the very floor he walks on will be stained with his blood. The other way was by hugging the little girl. Inko. Don't worry, little one, you can stay here, this will be your home. She said while hugging the girl, who, judging by what she said, just cried in the hug, and soon she will learn what family love is. Pav. Izuku. It's been a week since I met Eri, and I'm really glad I found her before she suffered more severe trauma. I'm currently buying the groceries on my list, I just need to pick up a few things. While she was looking for cleaning products, a pink-haired girl almost recognized the green-haired boy. Well, I almost didn't recognize you, said a familiar voice. I turn around to look at Izuku. Ashido-chan. Mina. It's me, Mido-chan, although it was hard to recognize you, she said cheerfully. Izuku. Were there more green-haired kids? He said curiously. Mina. Nope, but because of your white streak in the back, she said calmly. Izuku. A white streak? He asked while looking at the back of his hair. Mina. I wonder if white hair suits you. And if so, how will I recognize you? I mean, no offense, but before it was hard to recognize you in a park because of your hair, the girl said. Izuku. I don't know if I should take that as a compliment. He said, sounding a little depressed. Mina. Ha ha ha, you're the same Mido-chan. She says happily. Izuku. And you haven't changed at all, girl. Flashback. A 4-year-old girl is seen crying in the park. This girl had pink hair with dark brown tones and her skin had pink patches. Excuse me, B, but are you alright? Said an obviously shy green-haired boy. The girl, wiping away her tears, turns to look at the boy. Mina. Excuse me, but, are you talking to me? The girl said, confused. Izuku. I saw you looking sad, and I thought something had happened to you, said the green-haired boy. Mina. What's happening is that my quirk is manifesting, but my quirk is adapting my body, that's what the doctor said, whatever that means. She said sadly. Now the little broccoli has gotten close. Izuku. Why are you so alone? He said, sitting down next to her. Mina. Because I scare them, she said sadly. Don't I scare you? She said, looking directly at him. Izuku. And no, it's not that I'm quirkless, and I want to save people, he said between sadness and determination. Mina. So we're both alone, so let's do this, I'll be your friend if you're my friend. She said, feeling him. Izuku. Then we should introduce ourselves again, my name is Izuku Midoriya. Mina. Nice to meet you Mido-chan, my name is Mina Ashido. And so began a beautiful childhood friendship. Didn't they see it coming? End of flashback. Mina. So, the change is natural, she said, doubting the green-haired boy. Izuku. I swear, Ashido-chan, I don't know how things turned out like this. He said, trying not to focus on her accusing gaze. Mina. And what are you doing here at the supermarket? She said, changing the subject. Izuku. Well, where do I begin? Mina. Come on, Izu, it's not like you adopted a kidnapped girl from the Yakuza, she said sarcastically. Izuku. Mina. Wait, that's not true, is it? Izuku. You said it in a very short summary. Mina. What? The long-awaited day, for very few, has arrived, the return to classes, after making sure there were no threats. Aizawa. All right, the sports festival starts tomorrow. Prepare yourselves for what awaits you. You may leave, he said as he left, completely bandaged, the teacher known as Mama Caterpillar. They stayed talking for a few moments in the classroom, each in their own little group, but a certain pink-haired girl approached the protagonist. Mina. And, when do you plan to introduce me to her? She said as she sat down at the boy's desk. Izuku. That's exactly what I wanted to propose to you, he said, looking at the girl. Are you ready to meet her? He said in a playful tone. Mina. Are you testing me? She said, playing along. They stared defiantly until, Momo. Izuku. I know it's none of my business, but what are you talking about with Ashido-san? The black-haired girl said, approaching the pair. Izuku. Oh, right, I didn't tell you either. Well, since you're here, would you like to meet someone at my house after we go out? He said simply. Momo. Is that your mother? She said somewhat doubtfully. Izuku. She'll be there too, but I'm not referring to her. Momo. Okay, just out of curiosity I'll do it, okay. Izuku. Good. Mina. Did I miss something? Because I don't remember seeing them so sociable. She said, confused. Izuku. Well, it's kind of bizarre to explain. He said as he stood up with his things ready. Uraraka. Deku, what happened to you? She said, watching her crush leave. I don't hate Uraraka that much, but the fandom I've read makes me doubt her, especially those from God Lemon 21. I don't blame him, he's a master at what he does, but he can be a little traumatic. Don't kill me, V. And when Group 1A was about to leave, they ran into many students at their door. Bakugo. Get out of the way, you extras. Said the walking bomb. Denki. Why are there so many classmates? Bakugo. They're watching the competition. He said, annoyed. So this is the prestigious class that survived the villain's attack. MHP, they're just a bunch of arrogant jerks. Said a certain stressful blonde and punching bag of a certain waifu. Izuku. If you came here to intimidate us, I recommend you leave. After all, dogs that always bark always have their tails between their legs in fights. He said seriously as he stood in front of all the students. Monoma. What did you say, desk? But suddenly the green-haired boy disappeared and was standing outside the group of students. Bakugo. He did it again, he thought angrily. Monoma. What the? How did he do that? Izuku was walking calmly while speaking. Maybe I moved faster, maybe they slowed down, there are many possibilities. After saying that, in a few moments, a stunned Momo and Mina appeared. Mina. Nani? But we were at the door like. Izuku. I promised to explain later, everyone. Let's go, he said as he left. Momo walked away calmly, and Mina was still processing what had happened. Mina. You've changed a lot, Izu was the last thing the girl thought as she followed them. While all the students were surprised, some wondered how he did it and others looked at him with more contempt. Izuku, showing all the students a small part of his power. Will he gain more enemies? Will he be able to wipe the floor with his opponents using his power? Why do I sound like a fucking Dragon Ball narrator? Today the long-awaited sports festival would take place. All classes were preparing for this event. Mina. I wish I could wear my suit. She said sadly. Ojiro. We can't because they want the competitions to be fair. Shoto. Midoriya, said the bi-colored boy seriously. Izuku. Todoroki. Shoto. In terms of power, I was superior to you, but these drastic advances have made me doubt whether you're still at that level, but I promise I will defeat you. He said seriously and coldly. Kurishima. Wow, a declaration of war between the strongest. He said, surprised. Denki. What are you talking about, old man? He said, confused. Kirishima. Since Midoriya made those advances, and after what happened yesterday, he's climbed to another level. I dare say he's above Todoroki, Bakugo, and me. He said, looking at the duo. Izuku. All right Todoroki, I accept your challenge. I won't hold back, and I expect the same from you," he said, looking at the bicolored boy. "Bakugo, why are you challenging that nerd? I'm better than him," he said after not being selected as a challenge by Todoroki. "Izuku, because I didn't end up on the ground with broken ribs, Bakugo," he said arrogantly. "Bakugo, a useless person like you never." But he was interrupted by Izuku's hand pointing at his jugular vein. "Izuku, do I have to kick your ass again? Before, you didn't even have an idea of my quirk, but now you doubt yourself if you have even the slightest chance of beating me," he said seriously. "Izuku, if you want to beat me, you'll have to fight with everything you've got. The level I'm at didn't come easily, it's through my own effort, and very few people supported me. So I expect you to give me a real fight," he said as he walked away. "Nana, you really messed up," Toshinori thought the seventh holder. Flashback. All Might and Izuku can be seen in a secluded room, to be precise, after he told him the story of OFA again. "All Might, I want you to show everyone that the next symbol of peace is here. Izuku, and will you train me for the festival, sensei?" "Nana, of course he has to train you, kid. Number. Izuku, why look, what, it would be a disadvantage for your teammates." "Izuku, and that doesn't put me at a disadvantage," he said angrily. "Nana, you're lucky Toshinori isn't alive, because she'd beat you to a pulp." I know, but I have confidence in you." "Izuku, confidence won't be enough for me. You gave me this power, and the first time I used it, it ended with my legs and arm broken, all because you just told me to scream from the heart and clench your butt. Nana, how could you forget when I trained you? You're really disappointing me," she thought angrily. I know, but I haven't had time to." "Izuku, but you have time to go to your interviews every week, you just make excuses not to train me," he said as he stood up. Joven Midori. "Izuku, when you really want to train, look for me, but if it's just to teach me how to break more bones, don't even bother, symbol of peace." And after saying that, he left. End of flashback. Izuku kept walking until someone stopped him. "Mina. Hey Mido, do you know that's not true?" she said, looking at the green-haired boy. "Izuku. I know, I just wanted to be alone for a moment." Mina. "Hey, if it's inspiration you're after, you know you have plenty to draw from, your mom, your daughter." Then she remembers, "That's right, Mido, who's Eri's favorite? Momo or me?" the girl asked, intrigued. Flashback. Izuku, Momo, and Mina are seen entering the green-haired boy's house. "Izuku. Hello, is anyone there?" he said, entering his house. At that moment a white-haired girl arrives. "Eri. Papa, Grandma Inko already left." "Who are they?" she said, hiding behind the boy. "Izuku. Oh right Eri, allow me to introduce you to Mina Ishido and Momo Yaoyorozu. They are friends and girls. This is Eri, my daughter." Mina. "Oh, you're such an adorable ship, aren't you, Momo?" Momo. "When? Who? How?" said the poor girl in shock, trying to find a reason. After things cleared up, the two girls played with the infant and things like that. "I'm not sexist, I just don't remember my childhood." The end of flashback. Izuku. Would you believe me if I didn't ask him?" Mina. Mido-chan. In a more threatening tone. And after this our protagonist had to resort to his secret technique. "Izuku. Nigerandeo," he screamed, running for his life. Mina. "Come back here," she shouted as she followed him. Everyone was already getting ready to go to the arena, stage, court, or whatever it was to start the sports festival. Present mimic. "Welcome to the sports festival," the hero shouted into a microphone while the crowd screamed with excitement and the four villains fought in the ring. Sorry, that was a reference moment. Thank you for coming. It's time to start, isn't that right, Easer? He shouted while looking at his partner. Aizawa. "I want to sleep," he said listlessly and tiredly. Cheer up, man. Next up are the students from Class 1A, who stand out from all the others in their generation for surviving a villain attack. And so everyone in the class went in, although a certain green-haired boy was rubbing a bump on his head. Izuku. Mental note. Don't forget what the women ask of me while continuing to rub himself. I'd better skip to the race because I'm honestly bored of writing the whole speech and but. Power down. And the race begins. Now everyone was pushing as best they could. But those who managed to escape that situation were Shoto, Winter, Katsuki, Terrorist, Izuku, the protagonist, and all those with speed quirks or quirks that boosted. Todoroki took the biggest lead, but he saw 3 robots with 0 points along the way, and a bunch of robots with 1 and 2 points. Shoto. So these are the robots from the test. Notes. 1. I don't remember much about the race, but the more tests, the more people read it, I think. And 2. I replayed DMC 3 and realized that Quicksilver only slows down time, so it will be the same in this story. And so Todoroki froze a few and continued on his way, only to be followed by a Muslim with anger issues. It wasn't difficult for the green-haired boy to destroy them in advance, but a severed arm from the 0-point team prevented him from continuing, and they were about to hit him from behind, but he was saved by a cannonball. Momo. You should watch your back, as she quickly approached her companion. Izuku. Will you use it? Knowing what his friend was going to do. Momo. Of course, it's time to show off, as armor manifested. Momo. Now, Silver Chariot, and so the stand executed its attack with its sword, destroying the robots that threatened her. PM. But what is that, Easer? What is that thing protecting your student? While rubbing his eyes in case he was seeing wrong. At that point, more students and robots are approaching. Extra 1. He has 2 quirks, he asked in shock. Kyoka. You owe me an explanation, Yaomomo, still surprised by her best friend's action. Ochako. Is this why she was recommended? I try to find a reason. Mina. This feels just like that thing the pink-haired girl thought as she remembered something from her past. Note. Although they already noticed, everyone at the stands can see it. So everyone is defending themselves as best they can against the robots, but by a twist of fate they cornered the pink girl and she was defending herself as best she could. Uraraka, Jiro. Ashido-san. Gritaran intentando acercar su amiga. Thus, they destroy the robots to go and help her, but Izuku quickly stops them. Uraraka. Deku-kun. Jiro. Why are you stopping me, staring at him? Izuku. Because I haven't seen him in 10 years looking in one direction. And so the 2 girls heard a very small growl, just enough to direct their attention to a certain being that emanated purple smoke. Momo. What the hell is that? As she approached and got into a fighting stance. Izuku. Wait, Momo-san. That stand is too dangerous to approach. Just look what happened to those birds. And indeed some birds fell to the ground as they decomposed. Momo. What is your rank, Izuku-san? She trembled with fear, so much so that Chariot disappeared. Izuku. Nana-sensei, can you? Nana. I already went ahead. According to your memories, the smoke's range is almost 10 meters. Upon hearing that, Izuku summoned spirit swords, Virgils, about 12 meters near Mina, preventing anyone from approaching her. Izuku. We have to get almost 10 meters away from her. Jiro. But we can't leave her there, while looking imposingly at her companion. Plupeler Haze. You Basha, as he lunged to hit a robot. And to the surprise of those present, when the robot was hit and sent flying, more gas spread, causing the metal of some nearby robots to melt their shells. Izuku. We can only hope he gets out safely, he said while clenching his fist. How could I forget that? Flashback. Izuku and Mina are seen as children playing in the park, but a guy approaches them. Kidnapper. Well, I hit the jackpot. You're all alone here, you'll pay well for your bodies, he smiled macabrely as he was already close to them. Izuku. And no, you can't, there are too many people, trying to ask for help but the guy grabs him. Kidnapper. You're wrong, kid. Thanks to my quirk, I can create an invisible space for everyone. In short, no one can see or hear you. He throws the kid hard into a tree, but he doesn't faint. Mina. Izu-chan. While going to check on him, you hurt my friend, while trying to lift Izuku. Kidnapper. It doesn't matter what happens to them, after all, they'll never see their families again, ha 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 ha. Mina. You won't come back. You won't hurt anyone again, she screamed as she threw what little acid she could at him. Kidnapper. Arg, while clutching his burned arm. You damn thing, you're going to, but he hears growls behind him. Kidnapper. AA hero. But it's impossible, nobody can see us. Plupper Hayes. Ubayasha. As he approached to hit the man but only threw them without looking. The kidnapper tried to stop the blow and strike back, stopping his right hand, which caused one of his spheres to break and release its gas. Kidnapper. What is this? Arg, take it away. He screamed while writhing in pain until he died in front of the children. End of traumatic flashback and how 15 minutes later and how it happened in the race. Midnight. And the first one to arrive is, dramatic pause, Izuku Midoriya. The places are just like the original. Midnight. The next activity will be a cavalry battle. An explanation later. Izuku. Who would be good for my team? Deku-kun. Izuku. Say Voltio para Vera, Uraraka-san. Ochako. I know we haven't talked, but I want to be on your team, she said seriously. Izuku. Well, we're missing two. Hey 1000-point kid. Izuku. Mei. My name is Mei Hatsume from the support department, and I want to team up with you, said the pink-haired girl. Izuku. Why, Mei? To show off my babies, she said, pulling out her inventions. Izuku. Did you make those? While looking at the inventions. Mei. Of course. Izuku. Good, you're in, he said while smiling at him. Now I know who's missing, he said while looking at him. Kirishima. Come on Bakubro, let's team up, he said, urging the blonde to join him. Bakugo. And why the hell would I team up with you, he said with his usual attitude. Kirishima. Because I'm one of the few who can withstand your explosions. Bakugo. Okay, I'll go in. Less than a few minutes later greater than. Izuku. You're all aware that we're the target of almost everyone, right? He said, looking at his team. Uraraka. See, Mei. That's why I'm here. Tokiyami. Clariment. Izuku. Okay, the strategy will be as follows. Elsewhere. Bakugo. Let's see. I've got one Pikachu, one spiked head, and one raccoon eyes, he said, looking at each one. Our objective. Go after that fucking nerd. Mina. Why did I join this crazy guy? In a house. Eri. Do you think Dad will win, Grandma? She asked innocently. Inko. Of course, Eri-chan. Besides, your father inherited something good from his dad, she said gently. Eri. And is it? Inko. Cat reflections. Eri. What? Return to Wing Ua. Izuku. So you all know what to do, he said, watching as everyone prepared to go after him and waiting for the starting signal. Your team. Yes. Midnight. Let the second part of the 430th Hunger Games begin, he said, firing a flaming arrow. # and an __**. 7 # smiley face 85 plus number 9 #. Midnight. Let the second stage of the festival begin, he said, making everyone go off to beat the crap out of each other, almost like you hear the lack of Pantheon Rococo with all your friends. And given this, Team Midoriya left, propelling themselves with Mei's machines, and after each boost, Dark Shadow grabbed the tapes of their opponents. Momo. I see, he's using the whole stage to propel himself from one side to the other, creating a pattern of stealing and escaping, she said, ready to steal some points. Bakugo. Damn nerd. Let's take care of that damn extra, he said, pointing at Monoma. Mina. Did anyone else notice that during the race he had a different quirk and now he has Bakugo's, said the teammate. Denki. Nah, maybe it has something similar to that purple thing you pulled out, he said, ignoring what the girl said. Me. Really shit. Todoroki. Iida, take Midoriya's headband. Iida. That's what I want, but with shadow covering them and moving like that, it's impossible, he said, trying to find an opening. But then some misfiring sounds were heard coming from Mei's propellers. Mei. Oh, guys, it's time for Plan B, she said, signaling everyone to get ready. Uraraka. I understand, she said, deactivating her zero gravity on them. Tokiyami. Understood, he said, deactivating his dark shadow. Izuku. Well, I hope this buys me some time, he said, gathering energy and positioning his hands as if to draw a sword, and a strange blue energy seemed to emanate from his body. Momo. B because I feel a terrible pressure, but Momo knew it, her instincts told her so. It's almost like that thing in the USJ, so unconsciously she creates a large shield and takes out Silver Chariot to defend against any impact. And so it was, a huge wave of air almost knocked Team Todoroki into the air like other teams. The reason? Simply an aurora, blue in shape and almost 3 meters in size. Bakugo, Mina, Momo. Damn nerd, you had that hidden away, why you have one just like it. Aizu, that thing is huge, it must be short range. Tokiyami. Shadow. He said, looking at his shadow in amazement. Shadow. No way, I wouldn't go near that, not in a million years, he said before disappearing. PM. This is an unexpected twist. What other secrets does your Easer class hold? He said in amazement. Aizawa. Z's. Shoto instinctively did something unexpected. He unleashed his fire side and tried to incinerate Midoriya, but it had no effect. The only one who knew why was Momo. A stand can only harm another stand. Midnight. And time's up. In the halls of UA, a certain green-haired boy is found with 2 girls. Mina. Wait, are you telling me this thing is the representation of my soul? She said, watching Plup Hayes interacting with Silver Chariot. But why is it sometimes a fighting beast and then this? She said, seeing her stand so calm, playful, and friendly. Momo. From what my father told me, stands draw on a very strong connection to their users, and I imagine that violent personality is a very hidden side of you, she said, looking at the insecure pink-haired girl. But Izuku's is a bit stranger, I mean, I haven't seen one that big. Besides, when can he get away from you? She said, turning her attention back to the green-haired boy. Izuku. Well, I can move back almost 1.75 meters, as far as I remember. Right, Nana-sensei. Nana. That's right, little one, but what surprises me more is that you're a good actor. Shinso. So you're Midoriya, he said, drawing the group's attention when. Ojiro. Midoriya, can I talk to you alone? Izuku. Okay, see you later girls, he said as he followed the one at the back of the line. Momo. Okay Izuku-san, I'll continue explaining to Mina-chan, she said normally. Mina. See you later, she said, sounding a little down, since she wanted her childhood friend to help her explain her stand to him as well. Minutes later. Izuku. What do you want to talk about? The green-haired boy asked curiously. Ojiro. Midoriya, try your best not to talk to that Shinso guy. There's something strange about him, he said seriously. Izuku. You mean I only spoke to him and you were in a trance? Ojiro. That's it. Wait, how? Izuku. You seem to be in a trance, plus I keep an eye on everything, especially if it involves my classmates, he said amicably. Weijiro. Thank you, Midoriya. See you later, he said, leaving. Nana. Why him? Izuku. He's one of the few who doesn't consider me useless, and he's also strong without relying much on his quirk. Nana. And how do you prove your theory? Izuku. Because of his martial arts discipline, he doesn't rely much on tail attacks unless it's something his fists can't do. In the arena, everything about the referees and the order of the fights remains the same. PM. Ladies and gentlemen, we return to the sports festival for its 3rd stage. From Class 1C, a creepy boy, a chilling gaze, and possibly Heezerhead's illegitimate son. Hitoshi Shinso, he said as the aforementioned boy entered. Ms. Joke. So that's how it is, huh? She said, watching the festival in Aizawa's apartment. How are we going to tell him? She said while holding Mama Caterpillar's cat like a baby. Aizawa. You screwed me over, you son of a. PM. He'll be facing a student from Class A. Maybe he fooled us with that innocent face, but he's given us more than one surprise, and one of those with beastly power. Izuku Midoriya, he said as the aforementioned student came out. Eri. Look, Grandma, it's Dad, she said excitedly. Inko. I see that, little Eri, she said smiling. I hope you're proud of us, darling. Shinso. Wow, I got stuck with one of the unluckiest kids in the class, he said, trying to start a conversation. Izuku. Midnight. Begin, she said, giving the signal. Following the instruction, Izuku walked at a leisurely pace. Shinso. So I deserve your words, huh? He said, a little nervously. PM. This has already started, and for the green-haired guy it seems like it's just a walk in the park. The green-haired man just kept walking. Shinso. Hey, are you deaf or what? The green-haired boy who had been walking calmly disappeared from everyone's sight, but upon closer inspection, he was behind the purple-haired boy, causing him to turn around, only to turn around again and be met with an open-handed blow that not only knocked the wind out of him but also knocked him out of the sand. PM. Impressive. The fight ended in 15 seconds. He said, surprised, as was the audience. Izuku. Hey. He said, catching the attention of the purple-haired boy who was recovering. Don't feel bad, you just got overconfident with your quirk. Maybe next time the result will be different, he said, helping his opponent to his feet. Shinso. Thank you, he said, turning away. Let's jump to the other fights which were the same up to Momo's. Midnight. Begin. At the signal, Momo runs directly to Tokiyami, who then proceeds to attack with Shadow, but Shadow is held back by an intense light. Momo. If you want to know why he reacted like that, it's because he created this, she said, showing a crystal. It looks like normal glass, but it's designed to reflect light with greater intensity. Silver Chariot, she said, attacking Tokiyami with her thrusts. Tokiyami. Hang in there, Shadow, he said, barely able to keep Shadow from covering him. Shadow. I won't last much longer, he said as he and his master were sent out of the arena. Silver Chariot. Hour, he said, thrusting until he won, knocking the boy off the stage. Midnight. We have a winner. Well, out of respect I won't include the Bakugo vs. Uraraka fight since it went a bit too far, but anyway, let's get to what you came for. PM. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the first match of the second round, and to start this match, our winner of the previous stages, Izuku Midoriya, he said as he entered the arena, and on the other side, the winner of the second stage and son of the flame hero, Endeavor. Shoto Todoroki. Midnight. Are you ready? He said, looking at both of them, only to have them nod seriously. Begin. At first, Shoto attacked with ice to neutralize the green-haired boy, but he disappeared in a blur only to deliver a powerful blow to Todoroki's face, which made him retreat. Izuku. Her reflexes almost matched my speed, and I bet the next time I get close, she'll cover herself with a huge dome, he said, preparing 10% of OFA, which he could barely control. Shoto. Did he slow down? He said, seeing that his speed decreased as he approached. It doesn't matter, he said as he created his ice dome, but Izuku was close in the blink of an eye to deliver another blow. This time, however, he blocked and only took a few steps back. But before he could think, he had to defend himself against the attacks that the green-haired boy was throwing, pushing him further back from the arena. I have to do something, because at this rate he's going to make me fall, he said, trying to find an opening. Nana. It's one thing that you've rested, but you're still almost vulnerable, so you'll have to finish this quickly. Izuku. First I have to save him, because if I can't handle this little guy, what kind of hero would I be? He said, throwing one more punch only for the bicolored boy to find the opening in Midoriya to quickly disappear in another blur. PM. Your students have good potential, Heezerhead. Aizawa. They'll be able to pass the school. In the stands, Toshinori. You've grown too much on your own, young Midoriya, even though it wasn't because of me. In the sand, Izuku. Well, are you going to fight seriously? He said seriously. Shoto. No, I'll never use his power. He shouted angrily. Did he tell you to? Did he bribe you to do this? Even so, I'll never do it. I won't use it. Izuku. Then retire and forget about being a hero, he said, surprising everyone. A coward who doesn't accept his power to help others can never be a hero, and even if you did, I or anyone else wouldn't feel fear or respect for a weakling, he said, watching as Todoroki got angry and unleashed his fire. Nana. I think you got what you wanted, she said, watching as the bicolored boy unleashed more fire and smiled. Endeavor. You finally did it, Shoto. Shoto. Now you'll regret this, he said smiling. Izuku. Show it to me, he said confidently, preparing for his next move. And Todoroki unleashed his fire blast, destroying part of the arena. Elsewhere, Cementos. I can't believe you went out for a boy at the start of the fight, he said angrily, walking back. Midnight. I swear I saw him as an adult, she said with a chibi face. Cementos. We're going fast before. Boom, holy shit, he said, running with the heroine. The entire arena is covered in dust, and Todoroki has a torn shirt. Izuku. I was just behind him for more drama. You did well, he said, knocking Todoroki unconscious. Midnight. The winner is Izuku Midoriya. Toshinori. I'm a bad teacher. I told him to try harder. I even bet he'd lose, and the worst part is I lost my entire paycheck. PM. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the next matches. Now to prove that I don't just do men's fights. PM. The first girl to introduce herself has pink skin and her power reminds me of a certain monster from the 80s, but she stands out for her good attitude, Ashido Mina. She said as the aforementioned woman stepped onto the sand. PM. And her opponent, I don't know what she's got going on behind her, even though she comes from high society, you can see she has a great will, Yaoyorozu Momo. In the stands, Kaminari and Mineta. I'll bet 4,000 yen on Yaoyorozu. They said, taking out the money and putting it on a table. Kirishima and Toru. For Ashido. They said, taking out the same amount. Jiro. It's wrong to bet, but I say I tied, he said, looking away. Ochako. And what do you think, Deku? She said while looking at the freckled boy. Izuku. The odds are high, but I don't know if there will be a winner, he said seriously, writing in his notebook. Arena. Midnight. Ready, she said, receiving a nod from both of them. Let's fight, she said, giving the signal. And both of them shot towards each other. The first to attack was Momo, creating her classic metal staff and tried to hit her with the edge of the object, but the pink one dodged it and threw a kick, making the black-haired one fall back. Both take their distance and prepare for each other's next move, so the one who followed up the attack was Mina, firing a small, precise amount of acid at her opponent's weapon, but the latter evades it and punches her in the face, making her fall. Momo could have followed up her attack, but stops when she sees her staff. Momo. How did that happen? She said, seeing how it was melted where it hit. I didn't finish thinking because she received an upward blow to the chin followed by an open-handed blow to her chest, making the dark-haired woman stumble back in disorientation and rub her jaw. Momo. Well, you'd have to get serious, she said, taking out her stand. Mina. Now, she said, quickly approaching. Bleachers. Mineta. I think we've already won, he said, imagining what he would do with his share of the money. Toru. You wish, she said, wishing her friend luck. Izuku. What are you planning, Mina? He thought to himself. Arena. Seeing that she was getting quite close, Momo launched Silver Chariot's thrusts, but to her surprise, Ashido had stopped the thrust with her palm. Not only that, the sword of her stand was melting rapidly in the pink-haired girl's hand, causing her to move even closer due to the momentum. But before she could retreat, a hand stopped her arm. Purple haze had stopped the thrust from the very beginning. Mina. Seeing my stand's ability, I wondered if I could change the gas into acid, and it seems to have worked, although it was complicated, she explained to the dark-haired girl. Sorry Momo-chan, she said, delivering a punch to her ribcage and a supercock to her jaw, knocking her out. Midnight. We have a winner. Stands. Toru. Matanga said the monkey, she said, taking the money. Ochako. Oh, that was really impressive, she said in surprise. Suyu. Knowing who Mina is, I thought Kiro would lose, the little frog said sincerely. Jiro. This is a big change of events, she said, surprised, but that doesn't excuse him from owing me an explanation. Izuku. You really surprised a lot of people, Mina. Several fights that I'm too lazy to put later. PM. Now, gentlemen, we are almost at the end of this sports festival, and the next match will proceed as follows. The last 4 participants will fight each other, he said, surprising the 4 finalists. And so Izuku, Mina, Iida, and Katsuki climbed onto the sand. Midnight. Guys, I know it sounds repetitive, but are you ready? He said, watching the 4 of them get ready. Let's begin. And now the four of them started throwing punches. Bakugo clearly went after a certain green-haired guy. Bakugo. Shine, he said as he lunged at Midoriya. I'll crush you with my bare hands, you damn useless idiot. Izuku. Then prove it, he said, going towards the blonde boy. Iida. I have to win, Ashido-san, he said as he kicked the girl, who blocked it, but then the trajectory of the blow was deflected. What? He said, receiving a punch to the face. Mina. Wondering what happened. She said playfully, easy, I just covered my body with a layer of acid, of course it's very weak so it only makes me slippery, she said to counterattack the class president. Changing the view, we now see the blonde man trying to approach. Izuku. If that's what you want, he said, appearing in the blink of an eye and delivering a solid punch to the blonde. Permission to enjoy this, he thought, watching the blonde get up. Nana. Permission granted, and the green-haired boy advanced against the blonde boy, but he was intercepted by the blue-haired boy who was launched by purple haze. The green-haired boy was able to save himself from the fall, but Iida could not and left the arena. Midnight. Participant Tenya Iida is disqualified. Mina. It was almost a double blast, she said while dodging one of Bakugo's explosions. Could you start a conversation without being so explosive? Bakugo. Get out of this, you damn raccoon eyes, he said angrily, or I'll kill you. Mina. Sighs then so be it, she said, before firing a shot of acid. But the blonde counterattacked with an explosion, but that didn't help him avoid Purple Haze's grab and being thrown. That wouldn't be a problem for the blonde, so with another explosion he landed back on his feet in the arena. They were both about to approach each other, but blue swords stopped their steps, and those swords multiplied until they surrounded them. Izuku. They're not legal, but it'll hurt them a lot, he said, standing and looking a little tired. Bakugo. You think I care if it hurts, nerd, he said, sparks flying, I'm going to kill you all. Nana. Boy, your energy is increasing, she said, surprised that this is happening to the 9th grader. Izuku. Do you know why? He said, unable to control himself. Nana. It's not OFA, I think it's you, but the important thing is that you use that energy quickly. Elsewhere, a scientist is seen studying a girl training with a sword, fighting droids. Dad, I feel strange, said the blonde girl as red rays appeared. Question mark question mark question mark. 2. Stop the simulation, he said, causing the droids to stand up. Open the door, the professor said to the eye of the place. Aye. Professor Shield, it's not possible. Miss Melissa's levels are rising to the point where she'll be expelled at a precise moment. Arena. Midnight. We have to stop this now, Cementos. He said that the hero should lock up the green-haired boy just to stop him. Izuku. Ah, he said, then destroyed the dome and created a large smokescreen. This disoriented everyone, but if you looked where you could see a silhouette. For the few who saw it, it was a split second before he transformed and fell. A few days later, Aizawa. Thanks to their performance, they've accumulated a good number of invitations from agencies to do their internships, he said boredly, turning on the screen. Uraraka. Why does Deku-kun have so few requests if he came in 3rd place at the festival? She said, seeing how he was in almost the lowest positions. Aizawa. Alright, take your applications and choose one, he said, retreating, like a caterpillar. Mina. Who could Ms. Joke be? She thought, looking at an application with glitter. Izuku. What do you think, Nana-sensei? Of the 5 I got, only 2 caught my attention. Gran Torino and the one about the heroine Mirko, he said while looking at the applications. Nana. If you had terrible control of OFA I would tell you to go to Torino, but it's better that you make your own decision. Izuku just thought about it and already knew which one to go to. Time skip. Izuku. Wow, it's huge, he said, looking at the agency. Excuse me, miss, he said, calling the employee. I'm here about my internship, he said, showing the invitation. Secretary. Yes, nice to meet you, please come into the gym, she said, pointing to where it is. The green-haired boy headed to the designated place, and along the way, loud banging could be heard until the gym door burst open as a giant punching bag flew through the air with a painted face on it. Mirko. That's enough, he said, getting out of the bag, but stopped to look at the confused green-haired boy. The new blood has arrived, he said, running towards Midoriya and taking him to the gym. We have a lot to improve on you, kid. Your hand-to-hand combat is passable, but it can be improved. We have to test your speed, and your strength too, he said, already entering the gym. Izuku. Huh, won't he ask who I am? He asked, confused. Mirko. Of course not, you're Midoriya Izuku, the boy who came in third place and who caught my attention, kid, she said as she closed the door. Now. I'll put you to the test, she said, preparing for the attack. Nana. There you go again, girl, she said, watching her approach quickly. Izuku quickly moves away from the rabbit heroine's attack, but she had already prepared another attack, but the green-haired boy blocks to create distance. Izuku. Can we talk calmly? He said, getting into a fighting stance. Mirko. In 3 minutes, since it will be lunchtime, he said, launching his attack. The rabbit started with a decent kick, but what she didn't expect was that the green-haired boy would attack with an upward kick using his speed. Because of the power of the OFA he controls, he couldn't match Mirko's experience, so he opted for a swift upward attack. Minutes later, Mirko. Well, you were all right, he said, eating the rabbit with a puffy cheek, but I have to make you braver. Do you think I wouldn't notice you weren't fighting seriously? Izuku. Sorry, I didn't mean to cause any more harm, he said apologetically as he drank his glass of water. I didn't realize how dangerous it was to use my strength at that speed. Mirko. Okay, but next time don't hold back, got it? He asked threateningly, receiving a nod. Okay, let's keep eating. Elsewhere, Overhaul. Have they added a clue as to his location? The Yakuza asked. No sir, and even if we went to see, they say it's guarded by a soldier, he said in terror. Overhaul. Damn it, you can retire, he said while reflecting. Damn it, it seems I'll have to make a deal with him, he thought, pondering the situation. Island. We are in Professor Shield's simulator. David. Are you sure you feel okay? The professor asked, looking at his daughter. Melissa. I'm sure, Dad, after all it's just a simulation, she said smiling. I'll be fine, she said, wielding her sword and entering the dome. IA. Starting simulation. It said as a city environment was created where the blonde is located and in front of her materializes a man whose soundtrack alone doesn't need to know who he is. That's right, in front of the girl was a simulation of perfect soldier. IA. Begin. The blonde initiated the attack, but Sephiroth deflected her initial blows. Melissa then used firearms to try and find an opening, but he blocked it and slashed with his sword, which the blonde barely dodged. Melissa. Damn, and I didn't want to use it, she thought to herself, but it's time to see if this can work with him. King Crimson. And just by saying that word, everything around the girl disappeared, leaving only her in nothingness, while the gray-haired one attacks. The girl watched the soldier's every move, trying to evade him and get behind him before the 10 seconds ran out. Melissa. Now, with only seconds left before its effect wears off, I prepare a precise cut now, she thought as she attacked and time returned to normal. But since we're talking about Sephiroth, even if it's a simulation, he deflected the slash and finished with a powerful blow that sent the girl flying into a wall. She tried to get up, but the soldier cut her down. AI. Simulation complete, said the computer, making the holograms disappear. You're progressing well for your age, Melly, said a man with a large sword behind him. Melissa. I almost cut him, she said as she recovered. Don't worry, it took me a while to face Sephiroth too, he said, sounding somewhat nostalgic. Melissa. In at least 3 or 4 months I'll give him a scratch, I assure you, Master Zack, said the girl, addressing the current wielder of the Buster Sword. Japan, the Midoriya family's residence. Eri had gone out to the backyard and something caught her attention, a silhouette, and she saw a gray parrot perched in a corner of the house. Eri. Sir, what are you doing here? She said, a little confused, while this man seemed familiar yet unfamiliar. He just smiles sideways and moves away from the wall of the house. I only came to watch over you and your grandmother in case anyone tried to harm you. What's your name? He asked, looking at the infant. Eri. Midoriya Eri, And yours, sir? She asked innocently. My name is Sephiroth. We came across the green-haired boy and the rabbit patrolling the streets. Mirko. Listen, kid, things are different here on the streets than what they teach you in school, he said, jumping onto a building. This job isn't for just anyone. The useless ones you see on the streets are only in it for the money. Only 2 or 3 out of 10 heroes follow the ideal, he said, waiting for something. How strange. Usually, suddenly he gets a call on his communicator. To all units, report an attack by unknown creatures. To all units code C23, I repeat code C23. Izuku. C23, he asked, putting on his suit's hood. The outfit and name are the same as in the anime, but to avoid unnecessary filler, let's get to the fighting. Mirko. It's an attack by a large group of enemies. Come on, I want to see you kick some ass, he said as he headed towards them. In the area, several civilians were running while these beings chased them. The demons begin to create chaos and destruction in their wake, until the number 1 hero and his son arrive. Endeavor. Shoto, protect the civilians, he ordered as he unleashed flames to slow them down. Some perished, but it doesn't matter since a whole horde is there and one of them was going to attack Endeavor but was intercepted by the ice of the last son of the Todorokis. Shoto. Even though he'll leave you, there are quite a few of those things, he said seriously as he unleashed his fire side. And both fought long enough to hold off some players until reinforcements arrived and they were evenly matched. In the streets, Stain was subduing Iida and was about to kill him. Stain. Die, false hero, he said as he lowered his sword to kill him. But he was stopped by a smash from Deku who had seen and headed to the location. Mirko. What a brat, he said as he landed, and I thought you'd back down, but you really gave us a good warm-up, he said smiling at the sight of the hero killer. Stain. Tonight, false heroes will die, he said as he lunged at the rabbits. Rabbits. And there was no lack of initiative or words for the white-haired woman, as she launched a kick aimed at the assassin, but he dodged it and was about to cut her, but a kick sent him crashing to the ground. Mirko. Oh, come on, I thought you'd be stronger, she said, feigning disappointment, waiting for him to attack, and he did. Stain. Die, he said, making a slash too quickly, but his sword collided with another sheathed one, forcing Stain to back away. Izuku. With Yamato already summoned, if you want to fight with swords, he said, drawing Yamato. You'll have a sword fight, he said while using Dark Slayer with OFA 5% to get closer and in the blink of an eye appear behind the assassin and sheath his sword. But before he could make a move, Stain already had several cuts and his sword was broken. It was clear he was going to collapse. But a certain rabbit didn't wait and, mockingly, blew on him and he fell. Mirko. Well, that kept me entertained, she said somewhat satisfied, handcuffing the murderer. Are you all right, brat? Iida. Mirko. Not you, him, he said, watching the green-haired boy clutch his head. You haven't even perfected that, and look at you now, he said as he tied Stain to a post. Now call the authorities, he said, receiving a nod from Iida. Let's go, kid, he said, leaving. Izuku. Okay, he said as he left with the rabbit, but his hair turned a little whiter. In battle, Endeavor. Damn it, he said, sounding tired, but the hordes kept coming. Move aside. Hell's Spider, he yelled, launching an attack, but it wasn't enough. The heroes were becoming more and more surrounded, but luckily someone arrived. A tall, white-haired man dressed in black, wielding a katana of ridiculously large size compared to a normal one. From a rooftop, he watched the demons as they were consumed by flames. Without saying a word, the man charged at the horde, and with one slash, 10 demons were already on the ground. He looked at them and began to finish them off as if it were a simple game, and in less than 5 minutes, all the demons were massacred by Sephiroth. Mirko. Oh damn it. You can't entertain me, he said, seeing how massacred they all were. The green-haired boy looked curiously at the soldier, and the soldier at him. Both had a feeling they knew each other despite it being the first time they had met, but the white-haired boy decided to retreat into the flames. Mirko. Hey Flammas, do you know him? He said, approaching number 2. Endeavor. This is the first time I've seen him, but even though it pains me to admit it, without him things would be very different right now, he said, catching his breath. Izuku. Todoroki, are you okay? He said, coming to the aid of his classmate. Shoto. Yes, Midoriya, I'm just tired, he said as he tried to catch his breath. Minutes later, the firefighters and water-based quirk heroes began to extinguish the flames, and Izuku, for some reason, entered an alley, going almost halfway into it. He closed his eyes to feel a breeze that summoned Yamato, but he didn't draw it. Izuku. Who are you? He said respectfully and seriously, looking at the white-haired boy. Sephiroth. I'm a soldier assigned to a mission, he said calmly. But don't worry, Izuku Midoriya, he said, surprising the boy. I was sent for 2 weeks to watch over the girl, but my time has expired, he said, turning his back on him. And if you want, we could have a practice duel, he said, disappearing. Izuku. For some reason, she felt familiar and distant at the same time, he thought to himself as he left with his teacher. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and now we will see you in the next video.